Bartt Kellermann, Battle of the Quants. We're here at Christie's in New York, 2012, and we've had a very successful sentiment analysis morning. I'm here with Richard Peterson, who was one of the moderators of one of the sentiment panels, specifically asking how hedge funds have benefited from using sentiment in their trading strategy. Richard Peterson is certainly one of the pioneers within the sentiment analysis. He's written books, he's had hedge funds himself, and basically is a gun for hire to talk a lot about the psychiatry behind what's happening in this marketplace. So can you give us, first of all, tell us how the panel went today and whether or not you were happy with that, and also maybe you can tell us what you've seen over the last few years in sentiment analysis and whether this is becoming an increasingly important aspect of the financial industry.
I was really happy to have a panel where we actually had practitioners with real track records, and pretty amazed to hear 25% annual returns, Sharpe ratios, all of them over 2. So clearly, from what we see on the panel, people are getting high returns, low risk, using sentiment data. So that was encouraging. And I think the other lesson of the panel today was not only that it works, but that to make it work, we've got to look at both concepts and sentiment. That you can't just look at the positive and negative score about a company. You've actually got to look at some detail. What are people talking about, and how do they feel about what they're talking about? And what I see also is that there's 2 main strategies that are emerging right now. One is very short-term momentum. So from high-frequency trading to several hours, you can pick up on a negative news story or an increase in negativity about a company in the social media and start to trade with that in that direction. But then the following day, we're seeing mean reversion. So we have traders like myself or like Randy Soff at Alpha Genius who are trading on the 5-day mean reversion that you generally see after a big market shock. So those are the general strategies that we're seeing, and both of them have good returns, just as our fund did and the funds today did.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is there's traction.
Absolutely.
With regards to some of these. Would you say this is still relatively cutting edge, or is this starting to sift down to all trading strategies to a certain extent, or is there still a tremendous opportunity for funds that are willing to look at this sentiment data and exploit it, maybe before the rest of the crowd catches up?
Well, the interesting thing about the barrier in this industry is that the barrier is an educational barrier. And it's not what you think. It's not that people don't know that sentiment data exists. It's that they're using the wrong models. They're using statistical models like multiple regression, things that they learned in financial engineering school, that actually don't extract the alpha from this data. And they're using positive and negative scores for individual companies, but that also doesn't give you any advantage in the markets. What you've got to do is get very detailed about what you're extracting. You should use and model this data by understanding the extremes. It's the extreme events that really matter. But when you have a universe of, say, 40,000 stocks, you'll have maybe 1% with an extreme event every day. So you're talking about 400 stocks with something very significant happening where you can detect misperception and make money.
What I'm getting from you is it's a very, very complex, very intricate process to do it in a way that makes sense and allows for predictability. So you've got to be very careful about how you mine your data, how you look at correlations, and go pretty deep into the silo to find out exactly what all this information means.
And it's really, we're on a canoe in the ocean right now. There's so many potential ways to look at this data. And when you think about it, what drives markets? It's information. It's how information shapes expectations. It's how people react to information, how they anticipate information. All of that is captured in this text that we're picking up. So we're really tapping into what fundamentally moves markets. And by doing so, this is a revolution for finance.
Does your firm help quantitative-based funds better understand this type of data?
Yeah, we do. We even have a newsletter, a free monthly newsletter that we send out from MarketPsychdata.com. What we do is we have graphical tools. We show people how you can monitor fear over time in Apple. We have a bubbleometer, which we've back-tested to show when stocks are frothy with speculation versus when they're not. And it has shown good returns as well in trading over time. So we provide a lot of free tools, and then fundamentally we provide quant data. We provide sentiment data to quants through Thomson Reuters. We have a partnership right now with Thomson Reuters.
Excellent.
So they provide our data, and eventually we'll get back into asset management because it seems to work, and we're getting finally investor interest and less skepticism than what we used to see.
Great. Yeah. I present to you Richard Peterson, who I hope will join us in London. Richard Peterson of MarketPsych and the man with the bubbleometer.
The bubbleometer.
Bubbleometer. Thank you very much.
The big bubbleometer.